Hey everybody, it is January 8th, 2009. I am Sonic Suns, and recently I got a video response thing from certain Disprofuse, or Disprofuse, or, gee, how do you pronounce that? Go IM me or something. Send me a message. But he liked some of my stuff. One of the things I happened to mention was my video on artificial languages, international auxiliary languages, that is, constructed languages, etc., etc., etc. And I happen to mention that I've got one of my own little project things that I'm slowly working on is my own artificial language. It's called Ardo. It's spelled A-R-D-O, which he says is a cool name. That's cool. I don't know if it's a cool language yet because I've hardly invented the language. There's a whole grammar structure I need to invent. I'm trying to do like the ultimate perfect language thing or something, or at least something unique, you know. And I don't know. I don't understand language enough to know exactly how it all works. But I'll tell you what I do have is a character system. Most languages, you know, use the Latin character set, A, B, C, D, F, G, those sorts of things. There is artificial languages, Esperanto, Ido, Lojban, these things use either that or something very close to it. Esperanto had like a couple of weird symbols they throw in, like an H but with a little thing on it that's kind of like an accent but not. Anyway. But most people like to use these things because they're pretty common. All like keyboards are based on. Everyone's used to reading them, things like that. And then they just assign with the specific sounds because depending on your language and such, because there's various natural languages, all the European languages, for instance, that use something like the Latin character set. Different letters may be pronounced different ways, particularly in terms of like digraphs. That's when you have two letters together that form like a secret sound. Like PH in English becomes the F sound. Like, phonics or whatever. Why don't we just write F, well, because it's dumb. Because the whole thing, I don't know. The whole thing doesn't make sense. But these things, they get complex and think, okay, we need a standard way. The artificial language people will say, all right, A is always pronounced like ah, for instance, instead of ah, instead of, etc., etc. I thought it would be interesting if you made an entirely new character set. You don't have to use Latin at all. I mean, Ardo will have the option to use Latin, certainly. But if you had new characters entirely, then you could completely free yourself of ambiguity, because this is a new character, it doesn't look like anything you've ever seen before. You can't get confused with how it's normally pronounced, or something like that. So I thought, okay, so what are things I want to do with this? Well, let's see. Number one, how about we don't have any capitals and lowercase letters. It's like doubling the number of symbols you have for no real benefit. You get like a little bit of stuff out of it, not much. How about the vowels are distinct from the consonants? There's some quality or something that all the vowels would have that would make them unique or something like that. That probably makes things easier. Everything should be self-connected, I thought. This thing I found in Japanese. Sometimes you have like a line here and a couple lines there and a couple lines there, and there's like a white space in between them, but somehow these things all form one letter, sort of a thing. And that's kind of annoying when you get lost between one thing and another. Like, okay, everything should be self-connected. Not like lowercase I has got the line and then the dot. Like no hanging dots, nothing outside, no accent that's like there but above the letter. It has to be one thing. That should make it a bit easier. And I went to all you look unique, and then to make it easier on myself for having to invent things, invent however many symbols, I figured, okay, I'll use repeated elements, and then you just sort of iterate through these elements, and that becomes easy to create a whole bunch of symbols, and furthermore, they become in automatic order. Just by looking at the thing, you can know its alphabetical order. That's kind of cool. And of course, one symbol would mean one sound, and that sound would mean that same symbol, and, very clear, very, very clear, obvious. So, here's what I got, and this all could be updated, whatever. Call it Henya. You see here on the screen now currently the consonants. We have this elements here of a slash, a line, this, arch thingy you'll call it, the curve, slash, line, arch, curve, sure. And you see how this is a lot of repeated stuff iterating through by row. We're changing whatever happens on the top here. This is the blank. So the first thing you have is the double blank, but we skip over that. The blank, and the line, the slashes, the lines, the arches, and the curves. Curves you see go off to the right-hand side of the baseline. This vertical line here is called the baseline, and every single consonant has a straight baseline as opposed to these vowels, which are distinct because their baselines are curved. You see that? And you see that the curve element comes off the right side of the baseline in order to make sure it's truly differentiated from the slash. Let's go off this way. If you're sort of sloppy, the slash doesn't look like a curve unless you put it on different sides of the thing, and that becomes very obvious. So you can see here all the various consonants. And then down here we have the vowels. This is the curved baseline. You have a line coming off here. First of all, the blank. Here's a blank line option. And you have a little loop. Another thing you don't see up here is any sort of closed loops, but you can have those in vowels. And, you know, those are the various iterations of that. There's a scratch out there or whatever. And so I went through the most popular artificial languages and found like what the most common sounds were, because they make their things based on what the most common sounds are in the most common languages spoken today, sort of a deal. And I figured why don't I just piggyback on their research and make things a little easier on myself. I can't say I did fully a formal survey, but these is what I found to be common stuff. And we'll see here. You'll also see instances of digraphs, because I wanted to have, as far as the Latin mode is concerned. As far as the Henya mode is concerned, we have no digraphs, one symbol, one sound, very simple. In Latin mode, though, they want to make more sounds than there were enough letters of the alphabet for. So I decided to do digraphs but with zero ambiguity. This thing you can have in digraphs. You can have, like, say, you know, a PH. Is that like the P sound followed by the H sound of, or is that like the PH sound of? That can get sort of confusing. You don't want confusion when you're constructing an artificial language. The whole, you know, part of the point anyway is to make it easier than normal. So what I found is I could get rid of the letters C, Q, and X. C, for instance, is always either an S sound, as in certainly, or it's a K sound, as in can. So using S's and K's, you no need for a C. So similar ideas with Q and X. And having got rid of those, I thought, okay, I'll make my digraphs, I think it turned out to be 9 digraphs, and I'll split them up between these 3. See, every single digraph begins with either a C, a Q, or an X. And those letters, C, Q, and X, have absolutely no meaning except to signal a digraph. So you're never confused, like, oh, should we use the C sound here and then the H sound? No. There is no C sound. If there's a C, then clearly there must be, you're about to see here, an H, a K, or an S coming up, which are the digraphs. Here, I'll show it to you. So here are the various symbols. We have our bees and bat. Here are the digraphs. You know, chapter. CH is in chapter. This is luck. For some reason, that's a fairly popular sound. Shimmer, dog, fiddle, gold, not gem. That's a J sound. We're getting to that. How, joy. Oops. Here, the K sound. Kettle, left. Middle, notice, pumpkin. Here come the Q things. We have the TH sound of thick or thin, which turn out to be actually 2 different sounds. There's a different tongue placement on those, but we just have the one character means either of those sounds, and either of those sounds would mean the one character. As far as Ardo is concerned, that we're going to group those 2 sounds as if they were one, which you can do, by the way. There are no hard definitions as to where you start or stop, you know, a certain sound sort of thing. Bonjour, which we find in English as vision. That's not, you notice that's not an S sound. That's not a SH sound. That's a J sound. Tsunami. That's a sound you find in Japanese. It's not a tsunami with an S. It's different. Rainbow, salt, test, verify, west, yellow, zebra. Then the vowels. Ah, eh, e, o, u. Those are popular. Father, bet, machine. Oops. 2. And then we throw a couple others here. Bat. It's ah, I, and forming XA, XI, and XU respectively. This sound from like America, that's called the schwa. You find that in Lojban. The ah and I really just threw in there at random because everyone else seemed to be fine with those first 5 vowels and maybe throw in the schwa sound, the Anyway, that's Henya, and I think it's just fairly interesting. Even if no one ever uses it for real language, I can at least throw it in a fictional work, and it looks, you know, unique. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you later.